I like how, from the beginning, they embrace what we talk around here, be at your best when your best is needed, and they're all ready to go. They practice hard every day. The next man up, we never want to see somebody get banged up. Somebody goes down, the next guy's ready to go. We try to teach big picture concepts so a guy like Isaiah Neal can fill in a lot of spots on that line because he's a good football player. You're just trying to get your best four guys out there at one time, You have your four fresh ones. Somebody gets tired, they get a drive going. Hey, put another guy in. That makes it our four best. And the kids have done a good job. They know our concepts. They know how we want to play things on our D-line. Certainly we can sharpen them up, but pleased with where they're at mentally.
How difficult was it, or how much of a challenge was it, specifically, Florida Heat on Saturday against a team that loves to run the ball, got some physical linemen, athletic guys, big guys. How difficult was that challenge to manage your guys?
In the Florida Heat, we've had tropical weather up here this fall. It's been great. So I don't think the heat wasn't a big deal. It was a nice day down there in Tallahassee. The physical, they've got some beautiful old linemen down there at Florida State, and our kids ran towards that challenge, and I was pleased to see them. I thought we were pretty stout at the point of attack. I think we got to tighten up some things on the edge. There were some critical downs. There was a lot of third downs that we were right there as a defense, and the continued drives for them that we need to sharpen up and get better as we go down the stretch, though. But I thought physically we were able to stand in there. Now, how we do things and little techniques, things like that, they need to be sharper this week on the road.
You've talked about wanting to rotate your defensive line as much as possible, but obviously with the injuries, that makes it a little bit more difficult. How do you approach that now that you're a little bit shorter?
Well, it just like it's always been, get the four best guys on the field, and yeah, you got guys hurt. We haven't always had all the bullets in our gun every week this year, but that's okay. Get your best ones out there. When he gets tired, he's no longer your best one. And those kids, they they work hard in practice. So if you work hard in practice and you all of a sudden now you're one of our best four, that's fine. Then get out there and perform when that opportunity presents itself. And that's their mindset. It's my mindset. They're not looking around for pity. Let's go out there and play Pitt defense.
How would you assess what you've gotten snaps-wise out of guys like Nate Temple, Maverick, guys who have just jumped a bit more into the mix in light of some of the injuries at defense?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with the way Nate went out there Saturday. I'm really proud of Nate. If you look at Nate's career, he's had a lot of adversity thrown at him physically, and he just keeps going. And that kid has not blinked. He hasn't complained one time. He has a great attitude in our meeting room and works his tail off there, and it'll continue that way again this Saturday. So I'm really, really pleased with the way Nate mentally has always approached the game. So it wasn't speed up. Oh man, I'm in the mix now. Nate prepares every week like he's going to be a starter, and the guys respect that. I respect that. I'm not surprised that he's out there doing a good job for us.
With Jashir Whittington being a bit of a younger guy, how big was it for his confidence to get that fumble recovery on?
Well, as you watch, the week before he was in there a handful of snaps, and boom, he gets a sack right away. When Brad got better is when he decided practice was going to be of the utmost importance to him. And he lines up next to guys in practice that practice their tail off. Nick James, Sean Fitzsimmons, when Ghost was in there, those guys practiced their tail off. And when Josh saw that, when he started to really buy into practice, my confidence in him grew, his confidence in himself grew, and he's starting to make those plays. And I think that fumble was a critical play, and I'm really excited. My confidence in him just grows by the day.
Leading up to that, they were running the ball on that drive. They were kind of sort of pushing you guys back. Could you feel momentum at that point shifting to Florida State, and then how big was that fumble to take the momentum back?
You hit it right on there. You were there. They were moving the ball, and we had to get a stop. I think they subbed. It allowed us to sub and get some guys in there. He was only in there for one play. He said, "Oh man, I lost some reps," but man, he made a play for the football team. That was a pivotal snap in the game.
At the halfway point of the season, how would you assess just how your group has done in terms of getting to the quarterback, both on the interior and on the edge?
They've had some success getting there without as much pressures, I think, but every week, we left a couple out there this past week, and there's going to be great opportunities again this week. Stop the run. I think we can be a little firmer against the run and present ourselves with more opportunities to rush the passer and get there, because I do think athletically we're in a good place. We still have some really good players up there.
Pat referenced it after the game on Saturday, but just that you guys have been in some close games and lost them, and then you flip that on Saturday, you have a close game, you win it. What was the mood like in the locker room? How good did it feel to, I guess, come out on the other side?
I think when you go, sometimes you need to go through adversity, and unfortunately, shortcomings and losses teach you a little bit more. And we've been down that road. And now hopefully we can get that flip moving forward, because we're going to get faced with those. We will be a team that every fourth quarter, every week, we expect to be in the game and be on the right side of it. So certainly you get emotional. Okay, now get that win. How fast can you move forward on Tuesday like today?
You get to go up against the offensive line a lot in practice. What have your impressions been with Kendall Stanley and Ryan Coretta filling in, and then just how the offensive line has been handling the injuries as a whole?
I really enjoy, sorry to interrupt you, I'm sorry. I enjoy relationships with those kids. You're with them all the time, and those are two of my favorites. I'm not surprised one bit that they went out there and did a good job. I watched Coretta do it at guard and center. He's a consistent, everyday player. Stanley, I mean, I was really excited for him, gave him a hug before the game. I knew what we were going to see out there because I know what it's practice. You're not surprised when they do it every day, and then they get their opportunity. You're really pulling for, especially those two kids. I think they perform at a consistent level in practice. I'm not surprised one bit.
And how do you think the offensive line as a whole has handled the injuries? Because we obviously know how it went last year, but seeing them this year.
Well, you see Coach Darvo, I think, has done a great job. There's some brotherhood in that room. In this football program, next person, whether it's performance or injury, whatever, it's next, and that's what it's the next person, it's the next game. Let's go, let's keep this things rolling. And I think this program's done a good job with that.
What are some things that stand out about Syracuse's offense and what you have to face?
Yeah, I think they're a prideful program. They established the run. They went up there against SMU, and we know what SMU is all about around here. And they started that football game and went down the field, 8-minute drive. They are physical. They got some big kids up front. The running back position is very talented. They're too deep right there. Is very, very physical downhill players. We have to be ready. Bring our big boy pads and stop the run in the dome, because I think that is their plan. That should be their plan. I think they had success with it, and that'll really help their young quarterback out.
Coaches coach in a lot of places. It's not unique to go back to a place where you have been before, but and it's been a while since you were there, but do you still have any connections at Syracuse? Any feelings about that building or anything?
That was a good spot for my family and I early in my career, and I have nothing negative to say about that, and I'm really, really excited to bring this group of guys up to the Dome on Saturday, because it's a great place to play college football.
I was curious about, you talked about Isaiah a little bit earlier. Was that the idea of him potentially playing D-end, even in an emergency situation, was that always in the back of your mind for a while? When did that kind of come up?
Yeah, those were talks that could go back to the winter. When you watch a kid, is he this, is he that physically? He's a competitor. He's a smart football player who takes coaching extremely well. So there was times in spring ball, there was a little bit more times in fall camp where he would go out there for a handful of snaps of practice, or in the meeting room. He's an intelligent kid. He understands concepts, and he was getting it sprinkled in there. It wasn't just all of a sudden he moved out there. That was not brand new to him. And, earlier in the season, I think it was West Virginia, he played some end out there in some big packages and things like that. But yeah, it didn't just sneak up on him. He knew that, and it was his mind and my mind that we put him out there.
Forget, has he, either this year or last year, did he play end in like the third down package sometimes?
It would have been creative if we did put him out there. I think we maybe did a little bit, but typically he was playing inside at the nose guard position to run around, and now we've Nick James has stepped his game up. We put Nick in there and slide Ghost out there. That
was unique for Nick, right? I don't remember seeing him in there too much this year.
It hadn't been, because that had been Isaiah's role, and is really good at it. So now you move pieces around, but you hadn't seen it out there on Saturday, but there's a long line of kids that really want to be in that position, so they're ready to go.
2 weeks ago when Kenny had 11 targets, 100 yards and everything like that, until last week, I don't know if the receivers combined had 11 targets. Is that just a matter of the offense just taking what the defense is giving, or the impact of having Dez back?
Oh, absolutely. In this offense, we don't determine who gets the ball. The coverage determines who gets the ball. So, we do a great job of all those guys is winning downfield. Even our running backs are winning as well. So, our quarterback Mason, he's doing a great job of just making sure he managed the game well and give the ball to his playmakers and let them go play and make a play.
Past 2 weeks, not a ton of completions far downfield, but some shorter stuff that turns into yards after the catch. How good is kind of the blocking been? Does that say something about what your receivers have done? Don't have the ball blocking the field?
Oh yeah, I've been harping on them about blocking, being able to block downfield, help their teammates out, make sure we be around, and stay connected. Yeah, a lot of times that's what happened when the timing right, getting the ball out real quick, the guys being able to catch, to create explosive plays and create yak and different things like that. That's what you get. So I harp on those guys all the time. Just continue to trust the process. Block downfield, catch, get tight turns, and get upfield. So.
Has this offense evolved a little bit maybe from last year, but even earlier in the year? You guys hit on a ton of big plays, that's tied up for scoring, but now it seems like you're going more piecemeal, a little bit more methodical going down the field to score touchdowns.
Well, we're always going to get better each and every week. We're always going to evolve and, do different things each and every week. Right now Mason's just playing his butt off. Give credit Coach K. Bell. He's doing a great job game planning and calling the right plays and getting in the right formations and different things like that. We just doing our job and just taking it one play at a time and try to execute at a high level. And that's what we're going to continue to do each day.
Go ahead, Evan.
Poppy's been one of the most consistent players from game 1 to game 6 now. How does having such a consistent player in him and the others, but mainly him, allow you guys to just have a stronger offense?
Well, it allows us to do a lot of different things. We trust and we know what Poppy's going to do. We know Poppy's going to get open. We know he's going to make tough catches, and that's what he's been doing. And he know that myself and Coach K. Bell do a great job of holding him to a higher standard and making sure he understands that he got to do everything right, even the little things, even blocking on the perimeter and different things like that. So we just got to keep on chopping at the wood and keep holding them to that high standard so they can keep on producing whenever they get on the field.
Dennis Reed had over 150 yards just receiving against Florida State. Just having him back as a wideout, how much does that open up what you guys can do offensively, just having him as a target that defenses have to account for?
Well, he's another playmaker. Now we got another playmaker on the field. He does a great job of being able to understand coverages and be able to read and get open and different things like that. And then, when he catch the ball, he make explosive plays. So not only does that help him out, but it also help the whole offense out because now people are trying to take away him and then now open up some things for some other receivers and different things like that. So we do it all together as a collective whole, just to work and do each other's job and just do it at our best for our build.
How have you seen Deuce Span sort of progress as the years going on? Obviously, he was worked in the Wildcat there on Saturday. Just how does he sort of fit into this offense?
Well, Deuce, he's a little different. He's a bigger target. He can take the top off, different things like that. So we like to use him a lot, in different situations that we can do. But we're going to continue to keep working and keep pushing. He's getting better each and every week. He just come in and do the right things and stuff like that. So I'm just pleased with those guys. And those guys do it as a collective whole, all the receivers. It's not just them, it's just a whole the team. So they do a great job working together, studying, going over the plays, and being able to go out there and produce.
The offensive line has taken some hits with injuries, but it hasn't seemed to really fallen off. What have you noticed about them, and what have your impressions been about Coretta and Stanley coming in?
Well, those guys, they understand the situation, next man up. We don't want to feel sorry for each other. We just going to have to go ahead and next man up and be prepared. And that's what those younger guys and those other guys are doing whenever they're not in. They're taking advantage of, being able to watch and see, do film studies, so whenever their time is called, they'll be ready and prepared. And as you can see, those guys done stepped up and making an impact, a big impact for us.
Blue Hicks has the kind of body type where just look at him, you might think this is a guy you get the ball in his hand, short yardage situation, and let him run with it. But if anything, it seems like he's been more of a downfield target, especially his touchdowns. A lot of deeper, explosive plays in the end zone. Just is what he's turned into this year what you envisioned when you guys went out and got him, or has his usage or deployment at all, I guess, come as a surprise in terms of how he's been able to be utilized downfield?
No, we knew Blue since high school. We knew what type of player he is. He's just a gamer. He's just a gamer. It doesn't matter if it's, vertical option going deep or, catching a short screen. He's a gamer. He can make plays. He's tough. He's just a gamer and go make plays. So, the things that he's doing in the day-to-day base, also in the game, that's what we used to. We used to use him like that.
He was the target down Field on the one interception from Mason, and then another interception on the Kenny sort of slips there. What can the receivers do differently maybe in those scenarios to help Mason a little bit more?
Well, I commend Mason for giving us a shot. You know, that one to Blue. You know, he just threw it up there, give us a chance, and it's our job as playmakers to go out there and make a play. I told my guys all the time, you know, we got a freshman quarterback, so it's never his wrong. It's always our fault. It's never his fault. It's always our fault. So as a veteran unit, receiver core, anytime something wrong, we taking the blame. It doesn't matter whether he throw the pick or not. So just something where, you know, he got to go up and make a play. You know, that's nothing to do with coaching or anything like that. It just got to be a playmaker, got to make a play. He tried a high point, he didn't get a high point. He had it in his hand. They just pulled it out of his hands. You know, they got D1 players just as well. So it's just a situation you got to make a play. And on the other one, you know, Kenny slipped and fell. You know, things happen. But the good thing about Mason, man, he came on that sideline. He kept telling everybody, it's all right, it's my fault. We're going to move on. And that's what I love about Mason. You know, his leadership skills, just poise, understand that throwing those picks didn't rattle him, and it didn't rattle the whole team. Everybody else was still right there with him and just understand the mission at hand.
Kenny keeps his feet there. Is that probably a touchdown, you think?
I believe so. Because, you know, Mason threw a good ball trying to stick it on him, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's part of football. Things happen. So with that there, we just moved on to the next play and moved on, and we'll talk about it on Sunday, which we did. But
What stands out about Syracuse defensively? How they challenge you guys?
well, obviously we know, you know, they got some DBs, you know, they got some DBs that's pretty good. The linebackers pretty good as well. But our thing is we just trying to focus on us, and we try to make sure we execute at a high level. And if we execute at a high level and we making sure that we empty the tank and play hard for 60 minutes, that, you know, we should be able to take care and do our job. But they are pretty good, you know, for the back end, also with some of their linebackers as well.
Do you find that at this point in the season you're starting to thin your rotations a little bit? Like guys are starting to separate themselves from backups, and you're finding fewer guys, but then finding more reliable?
Well, it all goes down to trust. You know, I'm gonna go with the guys I trust. You know, this is not Pop Warner where everybody get a participation to play and get on the field. I'm gonna go with the guys I trust. I'm gonna go with the guys who's gonna help us win, because it's all about the team. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure it's all about the team, put the team in position to be able to win and go ahead and make plays. So moving forward, though, some of those guys will, you know, get into the rotation. You know, it all depends on what you do on Tuesday all the way till Friday. You know, that determines whether you play. I don't determine playing time. My guys know they determine playing time, and whatever they do and how they prepare themselves from Tuesday to Friday determine how we will rotate.
Jake, that shovel pass, does that happen in slow motion? And could kind of see on TV, you're like watching Mason as you were running. I mean, can you talk us through that play?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a timing aspect to it, so that's probably what you guys saw. You know, it was a great play call by Coach Bell, and the O-line executed it perfectly. Mason made his right read, and I was able to kind of get the glory for it, but yeah.
How much do little wrinkles like that just enhance what you guys are able to do on offense and just kind of keep defenses on their toes?
Yeah, I mean, exactly like you said, it just constantly keeps the defenses on their toes when we're able to do things like that. I mean, we have such a dynamic tight end room and really dynamic offense overall, and being able to throw in little wrinkles like that, I think it keeps defenses guessing.
Coach mentioned after the game, you guys have been in 2 close games, lost them. What was the feeling like, not just to get 2 wins in a row, but to flip that in this game and win a one-score game?
Yeah, I mean, we've been harping on, you know, finishing the whole offseason, and you know, we didn't get that done for 2 weeks, and we were able to do it last week, and we're looking forward to finishing now, you know, this upcoming week against Syracuse and the rest of the season.
Jake, you were here last year when you saw the offensive line start to get banged up. You know, did it kind of start to feel like deja vu when, you know, Keith Goyeva goes out and then Jeff Percy goes out? And how have you felt like the guys stepping in have handled it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a physical game, so injuries are inevitable. But I do think that our depth is extremely strong, and we've seen that over the last couple weeks. And we're looking forward, you know, to seeing these guys step up in a bigger role. And it's next man up mentality, and we got to keep rolling, and we've shown that we can do that.
After Mason threw the 2 interceptions. You know, what did you see on the sideline from him? How did he kind of carry himself when he came over?
Positivity. I mean, I was actually talking to Joey Zielinski, who he was at home watching the game, and he was like, "Bro, Mason on the TV, like after those interceptions, like he was nothing but positive. Like he was fired up on the sideline." And I think we felt that, and it was cool that they showed that on the TV copy too. It just shows his confidence, his poise, and his demeanor that he carries when he's out there on the field.
Were you kind of curious, like, you know, this first big mistake to, you know, throw one and then throw another? Were you kind of curious, like, let's see how the freshman handles this?
I mean, yeah, you're always like curious, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's a lack of confidence. We have full confidence in Mason. We face adversity all off season, you know, whether it be in the weight room with Coach Stack or, you know, in spring ball, fall camp, things of that nature. I mean, we've seen Mason. We've known what Mason can do. So we knew that he'd be able to bounce back, and that's exactly what he did and let us down in a game-winning drive. And he's going to do it again this week, and we're super excited to watch him go again.
What has it been working like with Justin Holmes and Malachi Thomas, and in what ways do you think the tight end room can impact a game?
I think we've shown that we can impact a game in all areas. You know, we've had games where we've been, you know, in the end zone, multiple tight ends in the end zone, and we've had games where maybe on the stat sheet we're not showing up, but we're just dominating in the run game. And I think being able to have 3, 4. I mean, Josh Altsman got in for some critical third down sequencing stuff this past game, and you know, we have multiple guys in the room who can go out and do their job, and we've shown that to be able to affect the game positively in many ways.
I'm curious again about the shovel pass, just because I watched it and I wonder, like, what's going through your head. You're watching Mason, so you're watching for the ball. Do you have peripheral vision on, like, is there a defender that's about to, like, crush me as soon as I get this?
No, not really. I mean, you got to have some feel with it, but you just got to trust that the O-line is going to do their job, and you got to trust that Mason's going to make the right read. And when the O-line does their job and when Mason makes the right read, then, you know, it's supposed to open up like that. That's how it's drawn up, and we executed it perfectly.
You guys had run, like, those little, like, kind of option plays a few times. Was this, like, a wrinkle that you guys had? You're like, okay, once we've got this on tape a few times, now we can throw in this tight end shovel pass to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got a lot of stuff in the bag, and, you know, Coach Bell knows when the right time to pull it out is, and he did so.